There isn't a foolproof way to predict at roughly the quarter mark of the season which teams will end up qualifying for the Stanley Cup playoffs. However, auditing the standings at U.S. Thanksgiving helps give us a solid framework for understanding which teams are positioned well and which others need to pick up the pace throughout the winter months. Since last season was unconventional on several levels, realigned divisions, limited opponents on a repetitive schedule and a regular season that didn't begin until January, there isn't necessarily an abundance of data from 2020-21 we can apply to the current NHL campaign. Looking back at previous seasons, though, we can begin to get a clearer picture of how the 2022 postseason brackets might shape up. From the 2013-14 season to 2017-18, a whopping 62 of 80 of teams in the playoff spot at U. As Thanksgiving wound up qualifying for a playoff spot that works out to 77.5%, which is significant, and it's also in line with trends during full seasons in the salary cap era, regardless of divisional alignment. The most recent time we had the familiar divisional alignment at U. As Thanksgiving was back in 2019 during the 2019-20 regular season that was cut short by anywhere from 11 to 14 games, no team played more than 71 games and none fewer than 68, after COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic. Due to the circumstances surrounding the suspension of the regular season, an expanded playoff format was agreed upon with 12 teams from each conference afforded an opportunity to compete in the postseason. The top 4 teams in each conference were given a bye into the first official playoff round while teams ranked 5 to 12 competed in best-of-5 series. Below you'll be able to compare the current standings to the 2019-20 standings at this time 2 years ago. Keep in mind, the 2021-22 season began towards the end of the second week of October when usually regular season action gets underway early in the first week, which explains this year's lower point totals. Atlantic Division standings at U.S. Thanksgiving in 2019-21. BOS, 17.35 39 2. FLA, 12.8 29 3. TOR, 12.10 28 Metropolitan Division standings at U. As Thanksgiving in 2019-21. WSH, 17.45 39 2. NE, 16.52 34 3. Pitt, 14.74 32 Wild Card race at U.S. Thanksgiving in 2019-20 Car, 15.91 31 PHI, 13.75 31 MTL, 11.85 27 TBL, 12.82 26 Nair, 12.92 26 CBJ, 10.10 424 in 2019-20. Boston maintained its spot atop the Atlantic and won the President's Trophy as the only team to reach 100 points that season. The Panthers and Islanders both went from second place at Thanksgiving to much more tenuous positions. The Islanders were 1 point back of the East's second wild card spot at the 2020 pause, with 2 games in hand, while the Panthers were 3 points out of a playoff spot. Because of the unique bubble parameters, the two teams played against each other in 2020's additional qualifying round, with the Islanders coming out on top. Columbus was trailing by 7 points in the wild card race at Thanksgiving, yet wound up holding the second wild card spot at the pause and pulled off a qualifying round upset over Toronto. Buffalo, New Jersey, Ottawa and Detroit were well on the outside looking in when the mashed potatoes and gravy were passed around the table and each had an early start to the off-season. Pacific Division standings at U.S. Thanksgiving in 2019-20 EDM, 16.8 335 Sorry, 15.8 333 Van, 12.10 428 Wild Card race at U. as Thanksgiving in 2019-20 call, 14A 230 pints Van, 12-10 428 pints VGK, 12-11 428 pints CGY, 12-12 428 pints SJS, 13-12 127 pints Vegas and Colorado were wildcard contenders at Thanksgiving 2019, yet finished with the second and third best records in the West when the season was paused. The Oilers and Coyotes couldn't maintain their strong starts. Edmonton failed to secure a bye and sat behind Vegas at the pause, while the Coyotes were 4 points out of the wild card when the season came to a halt in March. Both were eliminated in the qualifying round. The Sharks were above 501 point behind Vancouver at Thanksgiving, but all three California-based teams fell out of the race and didn't even qualify for the expanded playoffs. Overall, when you take all of the above into consideration, teams like Carolina and Florida should feel confident about their positions this season. Have Ottawa, Montreal and the Islanders dug themselves too deep a hole to dig out of come the playoffs? It's too early to worry about a team like the Bruins and Stars, and, heck, even Detroit and New Jersey shouldn't be written out of the playoff race. Kraken and Coyotes fans probably shouldn't love their postseason chances, unlike fans in Alberta where Calgary and Edmonton lead the Pacific. On average, roughly 3 teams that are outside of the playoff picture on American Thanksgiving end up qualifying by the end of the season. Who are the teams best situated to make the climb in 2021-22?